the investment in infrastructure. Already, I think I have discussed this in the first class when I had carried out a Bird's detailed analysis of GS paper 3. So let me quickly go through the answer in terms of introduction, body, and the conclusion. Okay. So the question was, investment in infrastructure is essential for more rapid and inclusive economic growth. Discuss in light of India's experience. Why this question was asked? Because it is directly related to the syllabus of infrastructure. Apart from that, this topic is also has current affairs relevance, because as you know, the government, because of the economic slowdown, has given a lot of push for the creation of infrastructure. We have announced National Infrastructure Pipeline, the Gati Shakti Master Plan, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure Development. All of these are new initiatives which we have taken in order to promote infrastructure. So here the question was, investment in infrastructure is essential for more rapid and inclusive economic growth. Discuss in light of India's experience. So there are two things here. One, how investment in infrastructure can promote inclusive growth and development. That is one part. And to what extent India has been able to use infrastructure as a tool to promote inclusive growth. There are two parts of the answer, right? So if you look at the answer here, as I discussed in the previous class, right? So when we say infrastructure, you must have a broad interpretation of what is infrastructure. As I keep saying, when we say infrastructure, it is physical infrastructure, roads, railways, ports, social infrastructure, such as education, housing, sanitation, electricity, digital infrastructure such as telephone connectivity, mobile phone connectivity, and so on. Now, why is infrastructure sector important? As I had already discussed in the current affairs class, infrastructure is a tool to fight poverty, underdevelopment. So as I discussed earlier, infrastructure is used as a Brahmastra weapon to fight poverty and underdevelopment. Countries such as US, China, all of these countries have used infrastructure. So as far as India is concerned, by focusing on infrastructure, we can promote $5 trillion economy, create more jobs, promote inclusive growth and development, reduce the logistic cost. So the logistic cost in case of India is much higher at 12 to 14%. We can bring it down to the global benchmark of 8%, right? And we can also promote disaster resilient infrastructure. But at the same time, there are a number of problems as far as the infrastructure sector is concerned, which we have already discussed, such as delays and cost overruns, lack of coordination, problems with financing of infrastructure, that is, it leads to asset liability mismatch. We are the bond market in case of India is underdeveloped. We have certain challenges in PPP framework as highlighted by Vijay Kelkar committee. So these things we have already discussed, right? So let's understand as to how the answer could have been structured. Now look at the introduction. Infrastructure sector is a key determinant of economic growth and development of a country. Countries across the world have used infrastructure as a weapon to escape from vicious cycle of poverty and underdevelopment. This is an introduction. And then you have these two self-explanatory flowcharts as to how infrastructure can lead to inclusive growth and development. In the first part of the body of the answer, you could write as to how infrastructure can address various constraints in achieving inclusive growth. For example, local multiplier effect, doubling farmers' income, reducing logistic cost, providing multimodal connectivity, providing for rural transformation. For example, 10% increase in the broadband penetration, that is digital infrastructure, can lead to 1% increase in GDP and some other benefits. In the second part of the body of the answer, however, despite these benefits, India has failed to optimally leverage the infrastructure sector. So some points: time and cost overruns, lack of coordination, financing, and then the conclusion part. Conclusion, as you see, infrastructure lies at the core of India's ability to realize number of sustainable development goals, both directly and indirectly. Hence, going forward, various initiatives such as National Infrastructure Pipeline, Gati Shakti, National Monetization Pipeline need to be implemented efficiently to lay down the strong vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And lastly, as far as coverage of this topic is concerned, this topic we are, as you know, we are discussing the current affairs classes also, and we are discussed this in the mains revision classes also. So we have discussed everything related to infrastructure. Then we have discussed, we have revised this topic in terms of a mind map also, flowchart. Are we clear now, all of you? Okay. So these are the 8 questions which had appeared in the Indian economy this year. And we have discussed the answers to all of these 8 questions. So as far as the structure of this class was concerned, first and foremost, we discussed as to why a question was asked, so that it will help you to prepare for the next year mains examination. Next, we discussed the content of the answer as to what all points could be incorporated. And then we discuss as to how the answer could be structured in terms of introduction, body, and the conclusion. And more importantly, we discuss as to how your answer could be enriched, how you could get that additional push by incorporating facts, figures, diagrams, committee reports, economic survey recommendations, and then the model answer. As far as the model answers are concerned, don't worry, all of these model answers will be shared with you. Not just for economy, but for all the subjects, we will be sharing the model answers with you. Are we clear on this? Okay. So in case if you have any doubts, you can start asking the doubts. Yes, Abhishek.
So am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Tell me.
So I just wanted to ask that in that V-shaped economic growth, you stated that we are highly skeptical that the V-shape would be continuing, or there could be a K-shaped or a U-shaped growth too. So, sir, can you just give a glimpse upon that? So my network was not stable at that moment.
See, what I was saying is, in the short run, we have come back. We have seen a strong rebound in the economic recovery. But the problem is, there's a question as to whether this recovery, will it be able to sustain its momentum in the medium run? Will it continue to show a recovery in the medium run? The problem is, as of now, in the initial stage, we face this recovery because of government stimulus. But now government is not in a position to provide stimulus because of higher fiscal deficit, because of higher public debt, as well as because of high rate of inflation. So right now, the government is not in a position to give stimulus. And at the same time, the consumption expenditure and investment expenditure, they are not yet come back to the pre-COVID levels. So this increase in future is a concern. So that is why they say that it could be slow and gradual, U-shaped. In fact, this year's economic survey has finally accepted that it is not V-shaped, it is W-shaped. Okay. In fact, Sanjeev Sanyal has said that it could be a tilted W. Okay, some of you are asking me, when will the session for economic survey and budget take place? Don't worry, I'm still working on the budget and economic survey. Okay, since I was busy with the discussion classes for the mains, but we will soon be having the session for budget and economic survey, where we'll be discussing all the important budget announcements as well as the economic survey. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, Rohan, tell me.
So my question is not related to the questions that we discussed today. My question is related to the Oxfam report. Yeah. Sir, don't you think the Oxfam report is flawed? Because it shows, actually my question is related to the share prices. It is related to the wealth of the shareholders. And after the pandemic, we have seen, like, after all the global crisis, even in 2008 or the dot-com bubble burst. So when the share prices increases, that is when the wealth of the owner increases. So that disparity will continue to increase even further.
Yeah. So what is your doubt?
So isn't this report flawed?
I'll tell you what Oxfam report has said in its inequality kills report. What it has said is, central banks across the world as well as governments across the world have provided for huge amount of stimulus measures. As part of the stimulus measures, huge amount of money has been pumped into the economy. Let's look at US. US was following this quantitative easing. Large amount of dollars was pumped into the economy. Same in case of India. And because of the lockdown, people were not in a position to spend money. So there was a pent-up demand. And the rate of interest in the banks were at all-time low. So if I'm earning huge amount of money, if I'm making a deposit at the banks, I'm going to get very few amount of returns. So what is the other avenues for me to make quick returns, to make an investment in the capital market? That is buying shares, right? So what has happened is people across the world have pumped in huge amount of money into the share market. Normally what happens is demand for shares, demand for a company's shares will increase when a company is doing pretty good. But in this case, it is not because the company is doing good. It's because people have more amount of money with them. So people have been pumping in money. Now, let's say if you are buying more amount of shares in, say, Amazon, more amount of people are buying shares. So automatically Jeff Bezos' wealth is going to increase.
Exactly.
Right? So that is what the Inequalities report has said, that money which was pumped into the economy, rather than using it for the welfare related expenditure of the most distressed people, it has been diverted towards the capital market, leading to the inflated stock prices. So it's like an asset bubble.
And also due to the pent-up demand, what you just mentioned. So when the performance of the company will be analyzed, the sales will show an all-time high. And due to this also, the stock prices will further increase, leading to an increase in the wealth of the owners.
That's what I'm saying. It's a bubble. It's a bubble, and soon this bubble may burst.
Maybe after the Fed tapering.
Yes, it's already seeing. We are already seeing it. So as soon as the US Fed Bank starts Fed tapering, probably for the month of March, we can see a impact on the stock market for sure. Okay. Yes, Abhishek.
So in the class, you stated that some sort of data sheet was being given to the students who were preparing for the mains 2021. So, sir, can you just provide the link for that to us too?
It has been shared on the ELEARN platform. It has been shared with the students who are preparing, who are writing the mains this year. So in case, I'll just share with the students who are part of the QIP as well. Don't worry about it.
Sure,
so this fact sheet which we had prepared for the Indian economy, I'll share it with all the QIP students also. Don't worry about
Thank you, sir.
it. Okay.
Thank you.